My name is Daniel and I was born in London. I've lived in England most of my life and now study here at the University of Winchester. My surname, however, is van der Molen and I'm half Dutch. My granddad and dad were both born and raised in Amsterdam. I also lived in Amsterdam West for 6 months during my gap year. Amsterdam has become notorious for its liberal lifestyle and relaxed social laws. The consequence of this is that the commonly held perception of Amsterdam centres around sex and drugs. I, however, have my own views of the city. This is my Amsterdam.
Schiphol Airport. It's the first place a lot of people see on arrival in Amsterdam. It's also had a part to play in my family's history. My granddad worked at KLM for 40 years, both in Amsterdam and in London. My dad and my uncle also worked at Schiphol Airport. It's huge.
Schiphol Airport is one of the world's largest and busiest international airports, operating 5 runways and handling in excess of 50 million passengers per year. After a 20-minute train journey, we arrive here in the heart of Amsterdam at Amsterdam Central Station. With the trains, trams, buses and metro all starting and finishing at this point, it truly lies at the heart of Amsterdam's transport system, and that's not to mention the bikes. The minute you step out of Central Station, you're hit by the sea of bicycles. Over 100,000 are parked here a day. Now, where did I leave mine? As I've said previously, Amsterdam's notoriety stems from its drug culture and red light district. Maybe that's the best place to start. When walking into a coffee shop in Amsterdam, it is likely that caffeine will not be the only drug available to you. Amsterdam's relaxed policy towards the legal availability of soft drugs is well known, and it is catered for via a network of licensed coffee shops. There are currently some 300 such cafes in Amsterdam, but this number is dwindling compared to 10 years ago, since the trade has become more regulated.
So we have now a right-wing government. Well, the Social Democrats and the right-wing parties, and they are heavily against it.
I know many tourists come for smoke hash and stuff like that. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's for us it's normal.
The Amsterdam municipal government is not against it, so I think they will stay. I think, but they will be restricted.
Cannabis only inside, not outside. But everybody thinks in Amsterdam everything is allowed, but it's right the opposite.
Amsterdam is the city of bitches, money, weed and alcohol. You see this? Party every day, elke dag feesten. Look at this, you can smoke weed, roll it on the street, police don't say nothing.
Amsterdam's red light district leaves nothing to the imagination. It's where women of all nationalities parade their wares in front of windows as if in brightly lit red vending machines. The red light district encompasses a mix of seedy nightlife and innocent tourism. Hordes of men, young and old, seeking their gratification, and busloads of Japanese tourists trying to get another snap for their album. In truth, this part of Amsterdam attracts a wide variety of different folk, from groups of giggling women on a hen night to romantic couples quietly strolling the streets of this wholly surreal part of Amsterdam.
You can't organize prostitution, I'm sure you can't, so it will take place somewhere else. Now they're trying to organize prostitution. They will not ban it, I'm sure.
You get maybe 4 customers, 5 customers, really good day. If they pay each €50, then it's really good.
The English come more to Amsterdam to have the freedom of smoking a joint, to see the red light district, and just to have the freedom that you have in Amsterdam. So they can just smoke on the street and have their beer together, and that's probably the thing they want most. Yeah.
Are your customers usually, have they been smoking a lot?
Yes, some customers, yes.
England mostly.
Yeah. England most. With truck
and really stones and.
Do you think they come over for any other reasons?
No, I don't think so. For sure not. No, they really come here to party and just to enjoy the smoke and drink together.
I know many tourists come for smoke hash and stuff like this. Yeah, of course.
So they really come here to party and just to enjoy their smoking drink together.
Surely there is more to Amsterdam. Let's go back to where my links with the city began, my granddad's place of birth.
My Dutch granddad, born 7th of May 1919, was as big an Amsterdammer as they come. Big Ajax fan. He was just 22 years old when his life became in danger through Hitler and his Nazi regime. Through no fault of his own. He was born with Jewish blood, not religious in the slightest, but this was enough to put his life in danger. That was the brutality of the Second World War. So this is where my granddad was born in Amsterdam, on Van Waal Street, on the first floor up there. He spent 2.5 years in hiding during the war, and luckily he survived. Unfortunately, not all stories ended that way, and one in particular springs to mind. Anne Frank was one of the many victims of the persecution of the Jews during World War II. Her story is told worldwide, and many can relate to her time in hiding here on the Prinsengracht.
I managed to speak to Marianne, who is a press officer at the Anne Frank Museum. I wanted to find out more about the Anne Frank story.
Well, Anne Frank was born in Frankfurt am Main in Germany, 1929. And well, that was a few years before Hitler grabbed the power. And in 1933, Otto Frank, the father of Anne Frank, decided to go to Holland because the situation for Jews, as it's known, became very critical. They came to Amsterdam and they had quite some good years here until Hitler declared the war to Holland in 1940, and the situation for Jewish people here in Holland became worse and worse. The hiding place was not too small, considering other hiding places in the war, but imagining that you have to stay here for a long time, not have to be quiet, hearing the bombings, knowing that if you will be betrayed, it will be the end. And being a lively girl who likes to flirt and go to school and be outside and play and talk with friends, having to stay here must have been horrible. So what really helped her through was her diary and going to the attic, and there was a window that was not blind and she could see the sky and the birds and the tree. They thought they would survive. They could hear the illegal BBC radio, hearing about the Allies coming. But on August 4, 1944, they were betrayed and sent away. First to Westerbork, a Dutch concentration camp, and then to Auschwitz. And well, Anne and Margot died in Bergen-Belsen, and only Otto Frank survived.
During my time living here, I studied the Dutch language at the University of Amsterdam. Let's find out what the student life here is all about.
Really great, yeah, because we have 2 universities in Amsterdam, and yeah, it's just amazing how many students live here, and there are so many options, so many bars, so many student societies.
Well, there's just so much to do that you can always have a good time, and if you know where to go, and it's great. It's just a great place to be a student.
With drugs so prevalent in Amsterdam, I was interested to know if that came into university lifestyle.
At university, I haven't ever seen anyone use like hard drugs, but sometimes, yeah, you see people smoke a joint.
Dutch students don't really use that much drugs. Only, like, you have a lot of party drugs, which they use sometimes.
Of course, we have a lot of fallout in the first year. and you would see him sometimes a few years later in the street, and then someone has got in the gutter, you could say.
It's a thing of Amsterdam. It's what sells Amsterdam to the world. So on one hand it's okay, but on the other hand there's a lot more to Amsterdam than just drugs.
It's time to catch the train to Amsterdam Belmeer, which is 20 minutes east of Central Station. This is where Ajax play their home football.
The Amsterdam Belmeer train station is where all the Ajax fans get off to watch the game. It's also got quite a historic past, however. In 1992, an Israeli Boeing 747 crashed right into the centre, causing absolute devastation, up to 200 fatalities. They've recently renovated and now it's looking good again. Over to my right is a slightly more famous site, the Amsterdam Arena. Welcome to the Amsterdam Arena. This stadium is the largest stadium in Holland with a capacity of 52,000 people. It's home to Holland's richest football club, Ajax Amsterdam, with a European pedigree unlike many other clubs. They've won the Champions League 4 times, 29 Dutch league titles, and they're the best team in the world. What does Ajax mean to Amsterdam?
Ajax means a lot for people in Amsterdam. When you think of Amsterdam, you have the red light district, the Van Gogh Museum, but the most famous in Amsterdam is Ajax because we have such a huge history. We won 3 times the Champions League in a row. We won 29 times the championship in Holland, and yeah, you can say every Amsterdammer is proud of Ajax.
Ajax, yeah, that's beautiful. When I was a little boy, I go to the Olympic Stadium and I go to the Meer, F-side, vak M, and I've been in Vienna when we won the cup. It was beautiful.
I was 10 when they won the Champions League the last time, and that's when I realized I was an Ajax fan.
Yeah.
So Patrick Kluivert, he's one of my youth heroes.
Yeah, no, myself as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played to AC Milan and we beat them that season 2 times in Trieste and in Amsterdam. And yeah, we were thinking 3 times to the big AC Milan, but we go there with friends, have a party, we get really crazy. I see a man after the match crying. Ajax have the cup, you know, so I was there, I never forget it. It was beautiful. Kluivert with Kluivert, yeah. But you were also for Ajax.
Of course.
How is that possible?
I'm always for Ajax.
The Klassieker, or the Classic, is Holland's most historic and famous game. It's between Ajax of Amsterdam and Feyenoord of Rotterdam.
Today is Ajax against Feyenoord. Ajax fans are gathering here, waiting for the Feyenoord fans to arrive. They're going to go absolutely crazy when they come. What does the Ajax Feyenoord game mean to you?
The Ajax Feyenoord game, you know, some Americans, they went with a plane to the moon.
Yeah.
It's not interesting by this event. No, this is the most important event of the year.
Right, there's just been a bit of trouble. The horses and the police had to charge the Ajax fans away because there was flares being thrown, people charging forwards towards the Feyenoord fans. It all went absolutely mad. This is what a Klassieker means to Ajax and Feyenoord.
Ajax won the game 2-0, so I had a bit of a spring in my step on the way back to central Amsterdam. From the hostility of the Klassieker to the peace and tranquility of Amsterdam's answer to Central Park, Vondelpark is the perfect place to kick back, relax, and not do very much at all. Encore! Very nice. I think we're starting to see the bigger picture now. Amsterdam is truly a city of diversity. Do the locals like the tourists that come here to smoke?
I think it's perfect. I have no problem all about it. It's fun, yeah. I think you can better do it this way than that you say it's not allowed and you know everybody do is sneaky. But everybody wants to smoke.
From my perspective, I really try to avoid the tourist places. Sometimes you're not really able to avoid the tourists, but most of the time, yes.
Amsterdam people don't hate tourists, but they try to avoid them.
Do you like the tourists that come here?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's good because then always people change. You don't have regular people here. You have always different. That's how I like it.
I have an open vision, you know. Everybody's welcome.
I think Amsterdam is more than only the red light district. You have everything. You have the museums, you have nice people. Everybody can talk to you like you can talk at home.
Welcome to Amsterdam Museum Plain. I feel this panoramic really embodies what Amsterdam's all about. Behind me, just a field where people like to chill out in the sun. Moving round, we have an area where the children can play basketball and go on their skateboard and just have a good time with their friends. Moving around here is a more touristy area with the I Amsterdam sign where a lot of people take pictures climbing on the letters. Behind that is the Rijksmuseum, obviously very famous. If we move round again, we have a lot of the diamond exhibitions where diamond dealers work. This is a real famous Amsterdam institution as well. If we keep going round, there's another famous museum, the Van Gogh Museum. Behind that is the Concertgebouw. So this panoramic really embodies what Amsterdam's all about.
The Rijksmuseum, founded in 1808, contains a large collection of paintings from the Dutch masters, such as Rembrandt van Rijn, Johannes Vermeer, Frans Hals and Jan Steen. Vincent van Gogh, born 1853, is arguably Holland's most famous artist. Some of his paintings are among the world's best known and expensive works of art. Concertgebouw literally translates into English as concert building. It opened in 1888 and has excellent acoustics, and as a consequence is considered to be one of the finest concert halls in the world. Concerts of a different nature sometimes take place just down the road in Lighteplein. Let's take a look.
This is Lighteplein, one of Amsterdam's most famous squares. Everyone comes here to drink and have a good time. This is Cafe Cooper here. I came here a lot when I lived here, and this is where all the Ajax fans come for away games and they go absolutely crazy when they score.
Street musicians, jugglers, artists and other performers make the square a lively place. And I can never resist a kickabout. With cafes, restaurants, bars and clubs, Lighteplein at night is the meeting point for a lot of Amsterdam's youth. On a completely personal note, there's one last place I'd like to show you. This delightful little street in West Amsterdam, de Kosterstraat, holds special meaning for me. Not a tourist in sight, but this was my home for 6 months.
Yeah, I'm born in Amsterdam West. I don't know if you've been there.
Yeah, I've actually lived at the Kosterstraat.
The De Kosterstraat?
Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah.
That's funny, because my dad, he's born in the De Kosterstraat.
Really?
Yeah, serious.
Oh wow, that is
my
funny.
dad, yeah.
And while it's fairly anonymous, I shall never forget this place.
Amsterdam is like a little village. Everything is near, so it feels like a little town, but it's a big city.
You can go on bike from one point to the other point.
People recognize Amsterdam for the coffee shops, the red light district, but there are so many beautiful things also in Amsterdam.
It's a very diverse city, very cultural, a lot of students, but also a lot of working people and families living right next to each other.
My city, I'm born here, I'm born and raised here. Amsterdam is everything for me.
It happens lots of times that you meet people in places that you know. That makes it kind of village.
When I go to Amsterdam, it feels like I'm going home, you know? It feels always great.
It's a city, a free city and a fun city.
I think it's cozy, freedom, the canals.
I would never want to live in a city with high-rise buildings and 15 million people.
And if you bike along the canals in the center, it's beautiful. So I enjoy it every night.
What's Amsterdam for me? You cannot really explain it. It's a feeling, you know? It's a feeling when you get there.
Bovenop Rotterdam.